Your shoulders tighten in a meeting for no reason you can name. Your stomach drops at a certain tone of voice even from a stranger. Your chest tightens on a particular street in a particular season and you could not explain why if someone asked. Your mind has moved on, your body apparently has not. There's a strange and often unsettling experience that many people have at some point, a physical reaction that arrives with no clear trigger the conscious mind can identify. A racing heart in a completely safe situation, a wave of nausea at a smell that seems to mean nothing, a flinch at a sound that should not matter at all. These reactions can feel confusing, even embarrassing, especially when there is no obvious reason attached to them. What is actually happening in these moments is one of the more remarkable and well-documented aspects of how memory works. The body stores experience in ways that are entirely separate from the way the conscious, narrative mind stores it. You can forget the details of an event completely, the date, the specifics, even that it happened at all, while your nervous system retains a precise and accurate record of what it felt like, ready to activate the moment something resembling it appears again. This is not a flaw in how memory works, it is memory working exactly as it evolved to. This is worth sitting with because it explains something a lot of people have quietly worried about without ever saying out loud, the sense that their own reactions do not make sense, that there must be something wrong with them for feeling something so strongly when nothing in the room appears to justify it. There is nothing wrong with a nervous system that responds this way. It means the system is functioning exactly as designed, drawing on information that the conscious mind was never given full access to in the first place. And understanding the actual mechanism behind this might change how you relate to reactions you have never been able to explain. Most people think of memory as a single thing, a mental filing cabinet holding everything that has happened. In reality, memory is made up of several distinct systems that operate largely independently of one another. There is explicit memory, the kind you can consciously recall and narrate what happened when and where. And there is implicit memory, which includes procedural memory, emotional memory, and somatic memory, the kind that lives in the body and the nervous system, encoding not facts but felt experience. These systems do not always update or forget at the same rate. It is entirely possible for the explicit narrative memory of an event to fade almost completely, while the implicit bodily memory of what it felt like remains fully intact and just as reactive as the day it was formed. This is why a person can genuinely say, "I do not remember much about that time in my life," while their body continues to respond to reminders of it with total clarity. Both statements are true at once. They simply come from two different memory systems that are not required to be in agreement. There is a good evolutionary reason the body holds onto felt experience so tightly, often more tightly than the mind holds onto the specific facts. From a survival standpoint, remembering the precise date and location of a dangerous event matters far less than remembering, instantly and automatically, what it felt like right before danger arrived, the sound, the smell, the particular quality of tension in the air, so that the same warning signs can be detected and reacted to immediately in the future, without the delay of conscious thought. This means the nervous system is, in a very real sense, designed to prioritize pattern and feeling over narrative and fact. It is built to say something felt like this before, react now, and sort out the details later, because in genuinely dangerous situations, sorting out the details later could be the difference between safety and harm. In modern life, this same system continues operating exactly as designed, even when the trigger is no longer dangerous, which is precisely why a completely safe situation can still produce a very real physical alarm response. And this next part explains something that trips up a lot of people who are trying to understand their own reactions. One of the most common and most painful misunderstandings around this topic is the assumption that if you cannot consciously remember something, then whatever your body is reacting to could not have been real or significant. This assumption causes real harm because it leads people to dismiss or distrust genuine physiological responses simply because there is no accompanying narrative memory to explain them. In reality, the two systems can be completely disconnected from each other, particularly around experiences that were overwhelming, especially in childhood, when the parts of the brain responsible for narrative memory are still developing and are the first systems to go offline under significant stress. The body can hold an accurate and complete record of something the conscious mind never had the developmental capacity to fully encode as a coherent story in the first place. The absence of a clear memory does not mean the absence of a real experience. It often means the opposite, that the experience was significant enough or early enough that only the body's memory system was fully operational at the time. Here is the part of this that carries real hope. Because the body's memory system operates largely outside conscious control, it cannot simply be reasoned with directly. Deciding logically that a reaction does not make sense rarely changes it, because the system producing the reaction is not the part of the brain doing the reasoning. But the body's memory system can be updated not through argument, but through a specific kind of repeated embodied experience. This is why approaches that work directly with the body, controlled breathing, gentle movement, therapies specifically designed to engage the nervous system rather than only the narrative mind, often succeed where simply talking or thinking through an issue does not fully resolve it. The body needs new, felt evidence that the old danger is genuinely over, delivered in a way it can actually process. This is slower and less direct than simply deciding to feel differently, but it is genuinely possible, and it explains why body-based approaches to old and unexplained reactions frequently produce results that purely cognitive approaches cannot reach on their own. It is worth stating this directly because it reframes something that many people experience as a kind of internal betrayal. The body that reacts without your permission, that produces a racing heart or a tight chest in situations your conscious mind knows are safe, is not malfunctioning. It is not being irrational or difficult. It is running the exact protective program it was built to run, using the best information available to it at the time it was formed. Every one of these reactions began as an attempt at protection, a nervous system correctly identifying at some point that something needed to be taken seriously and building a fast, automatic response to make sure it would be recognized and reacted to again quickly without hesitation. The system is out of date, not malicious. It is still, in its own way, trying to look after you. Understanding this changes the relationship many people have with their own unexplained reactions, from something to be ashamed of or fought against, into something to be met with genuine patience and even a kind of gratitude for what it was originally trying to do. The understanding that the body holds its own form of memory, separate from conscious recall, is a relatively recent addition to how psychology and medicine explain human experience. For most of the last century, physical reactions without an obvious conscious cause were often dismissed entirely, or attributed to imagination, or treated as something to simply push through and ignore. Many people were raised by a generation taught, explicitly or implicitly, that unexplained physical reactions were not to be trusted or taken seriously, a framework that left very little room to understand what the body might genuinely be communicating. Understanding the science behind bodily memory does not undo that earlier framework, but it does offer something it never provided: a legitimate, evidence-based reason to finally take these reactions seriously rather than dismissing them in yourself or in anyone else. And before we finish, the one thing I most want you to hold from everything in this video. If your body has ever reacted to something your mind could not explain, that reaction was real even without a matching memory to justify it. You are not imagining things. You are not being overly sensitive. You are experiencing one of the most well-documented and universal aspects of how human memory actually works, a system built for survival, doing exactly what it evolved to do, even when the modern moment no longer requires it. This week, try one small thing. The next time an unexplained physical reaction arrives, resist the urge to dismiss it or argue with it. Instead, simply and gently acknowledge it. My body is responding to something. I do not need to fully understand it right now for it to be real. That single shift from dismissal to acknowledgement is often the very first step toward the body eventually learning, gradually and gently, that it is finally safe to stand down. If someone you know has ever felt confused or ashamed by a reaction they could not explain, share this with them today. Sometimes understanding the science behind it is exactly what makes it easier to finally be gentle with yourself. Take care of yourself, and we will see you next time.